Guys, I'm currently in Tamworth and I told you I'd be back. Anyway, if you like your true crime stuff, then you're going to bloody love this one, guys. So, let's get into it. On a quiet night in Wilnecote, a tragedy unfolded that would leave an entire community stunned. In the early hours of the morning, at number 2 New Street Square, a miner named Thomas William Twyman returned home. He was 34 years old, employed as a labourer at Hall End Colliery and known locally as a heavy drinker. Earlier that evening he had been in Tamworth, arriving back sometime around 1 o'clock in the morning. What happened next would end the life of a child and permanently scar the lives of those who survived. When Thomas arrived home, he began threatening his wife, and fearing for her safety, she fled the house and sought protection at a neighbour's home nearby. And in doing so, she was forced to leave 3 children behind, asleep in their beds. We had Lizzie, aged 8, Elsie, aged 5, and the youngest, Alice May, just 15 months old. For the rest of the night, Miss Twyman remained next door, unable to sleep, distressed and frightened. She had no idea that while she waited, something unspeakable was taking place inside her own home. When she eventually returned, her husband had left for work. She made a discovery that no parent should ever have to make. Her baby, Alice May, lay dead on the bed, and her throat had been severed. There were only 2 witnesses to the crime, Lizzie and Elsie, children who would carry that night with them for the rest of their lives. At the inquest, a version of events was given to the eldest child, Lizzie, and when questioned, she described what she had seen. She said that her father sharpened the knife, went downstairs, then came back upstairs again. He reached across the bed, lifted the baby, held her chin up against his side, and cut her throat. Those words were not spoken by an adult. They were spoken by a child, an 8-year-old girl. Thomas Twyman was not unknown to the authorities. Just months earlier, magistrates in Tamworth had him bound over for 6 months for assaulting his wife. Evidence given at the time showed a pattern of abuse. He would not give his wife enough money to run the household, and when she complained, he struck her. Alcohol played a constant role in his behaviour. On the Friday evening before the murder, Thomas returned home from the pit around 5 o'clock. He brought his wages with him and gave his wife 6 shillings. She used it to buy bacon and tomatoes and cooked his tea, and later, Thomas claimed he was going to buy boots with the remaining money. Instead, he went drinking and spent it all in the boozer. He returned home around 1 o'clock in the morning, half drunk, and when his wife challenged him for being out so late, he threatened to kill her. With no weapon in his hand but enough fear in his voice, she ran from the house and alerted the police. And with this, PC stopped and attended and warned Thomas that if there was any further trouble, he would be taken into custody. Miss Twyman agreed to stay at a neighbour's house for safety, remaining there until around 4 o'clock in the morning. And during that time, Thomas locked his 2 older daughters inside the house and left. Instead of fleeing, he walked half a mile to his parents' home in Belgrave. And there he told them what he'd done. His father immediately went to inform the police. His mother and 2 sisters hurried to Wilnecote to summon a doctor. Thomas returned to the house with them, and shortly afterwards a doctor arrived, followed by PC Stopford. Thomas Twyman was arrested on the doorstep of his own home. Earlier that same morning, around 5:30, a neighbour saw Thomas standing on his door, and preparing to go to work, he wished them a good morning. The neighbour later said that Thomas looked pale and haggard. At the time, they thought nothing of it, and only later did they realise that this was likely just after the murder had taken place. At the inquest, Miss Twyman described years of neglect and fear. Her husband was frequently out drinking, returning home late at night, leaving her without money even to buy food. On the night in question, she said he appeared sober when she briefly returned home, and when she asked him if he had hurt the baby, he denied even touching her, but when she tried to go upstairs, he pushed her back. It was only later, after Thomas had been taken away by the police, that she went upstairs and saw the truth. Alice May lay dead, and blood stained the pillow beneath her head. Thomas's mother also gave evidence. She received a call from her son at around 3 o'clock in the morning. He told her that he killed the baby. She said that he did not sound drunk but excited. When she asked why, he replied that the child was crying and he could not pacify her. He said he was tired of all of it. He told her plainly that he cut the baby's throat with a blade. When she arrived at the house, the 2 older children were awake in the back bedroom, and as she climbed the stairs, they told her, "Granny, the baby is dead." and Dad has done it. The jury returned a verdict of willful murder. Thomas William Twyman was sentenced to death at Warwick Assizes. The sentence was later commuted to penal service for the rest of his life. He would never walk free again. This was not a crime of impulse alone. It was the final act in a home already broken by drink, violence and fear. And while history records the name of the man who committed it, it's the names of the children, especially Alice May, that deserve to be remembered. Her life ended before it had truly begun. So rest in peace, Alice May.